everybody. Welcome back to A Few Short Minutes of the Pod, where I just want to remind you that it literally takes only a few short minutes a day to physically rewire your brain. You guys, today, I know this is going to be an amazing conversation because she is a huge fan of Dr. Joe Dispenza, like I am. This is Tarra Branham. She is coming to us from Hawaii. So let me tell you a little bit about Tarra. She, after 35 years of struggling with her weight, binge eating, yo-yo dieting like it was her job, she finally decided to embark on a healing journey that would get to the root of her weight issues. What ended up happening absolutely blows her mind, and she's lost 90 pounds forever. Quit a job that drained her, sold everything in Seattle, and embarked on a journey that eventually led her family of 3 to settle on Maui. Oh my gosh, and you guys know what's been going on there lately. So it's through her own healing journey and personal life coaching experience that she finally realized she was not broken. And the weight didn't have to be an issue. It could be actually her gift to the world, which I absolutely love. When she learned how capable and powerful she was, she created a life of her dreams, and she's living proof that weight loss is so much more than just achieving the number on the scale, which is absolutely accurate. It is about unleashing your soul and coming into deep alignment with your authentic self. We are meant to live in healthy, happy, and free bodies. And she absolutely loves her life now, and is she forever grateful for her weight struggle because it led her to change herself. And now she can go out and change the world. I've got all kinds of goosebumps right now, which is so exciting. So, Tarra, thank you for being here. Introduce yourself.
Hi. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Stacey, for having me. I mean, you did an amazing introduction. So that pretty much sums me up in a nutshell. We got to Maui in May after traveling extensively for about 5 months in the Caribbean, and landed here. And now I'm just reopening my business as a soul-centered life coach, and loving living in Maui, feeling very blessed and grateful to be here every day. And that's what I'm doing right now with my life.
I love it. Thank you so much for being here and spending time and sharing space. How is life on Maui right now?
It's beautiful. There's obviously the collective trauma, but what happened was incredibly tragic, continues to be incredibly tragic, but the way the community has really come together is something unlike I've ever seen ever. And it is actually becoming quite a point of healing. And, as a result of so many people losing their homes on the West Side, I'm getting to meet people that I wouldn't have gotten to meet before, and making really incredible friendships and connections that will, nurture both of us. So it's an incredible time to be here, unlike any other time to be here.
That's so amazing. What I know from that culture is that they are incredibly resilient, incredibly community driven.
Yes.
And I'm so glad to hear that is the healing aspect of all this. I'm sure that was a shock for you, coming from Seattle to the Caribbean, getting settled, and then all of a sudden, the whole place is on fire.
Yeah.
In your training and being a soul-centered coach, how has that helped you kind of process all of that?
Yeah, it's a great question. We so often want to move into panic and fear and scarcity when we have events that trigger our fear response. And so really being able to tap into our thought work, the part of our brain that allows us to think both logically, but also be in a place of balance, has been tremendously helpful for myself and my family, but also for the people that I interact with on the daily. When everything first happened, it was really easy to be like, oh my gosh, what is, should we leave? Is it safe to be here? Blah, blah, blah. But what was so interesting is it was through really tapping into my authentic self and having deep conversations with community members, it was because of this event that we really came into alignment with the fact that we want to be here long term, and that this is actually a place that we want to raise our son, that we want to call home. And it was through moving from fear and scarcity into deep alignment with who we are and what we believe. We not only can offer the community, but what the community so lovingly and generously offers us, that, I mean, we really just continued to live our life from a place of authenticity instead of fear and scarcity, which is where I was for 35 years before I went on my healing journey.
Yeah, it's fascinating to me that healing journey has led to those tools that now you can apply into a completely different situation, so outside of yourself. I mean, it couldn't be further outside yourself. So it's fascinating to see those tools in action, not just internally, but externally as well. Talk about how you acquired those tools. Talk about your struggle. Talk about those 35 years.
Yeah. So I started binge eating when I was 5 years old. I got put on a really restrictive diet, and it triggered my fight or flight response in my brain. So I literally, at 5 years old, my body thought I was starving, and I was. And then when food became available to me, as any natural biological function, especially at a 5-year-old, I binge ate, and it created the neuro pathway that just got stuck in a loop. And so I wasn't an overweight child before this incident, before I got put on a restrictive diet. I was a normal 5-year-old. I mean, you look at pictures and think, like, why would somebody put her on a restrictive diet? And then I became pretty severely and chronically overweight. And I didn't know I knew how to eat healthy because I started my first real, like, figuring out weight loss on my own when I was 12. But I did it in a way that was really restrictive. I was eating like 30 grams of fat a day and exercising twice a day. And yes, I did lose a lot of weight, but it was a full-time job for a 12-year-old to be exercising twice a day and eating 30 grams of fat, which, oh my God, in puberty for women, like, fat is so important for our hormones and our brain function and just, so anyway, I got stuck in that loop then of over exercising and under eating. And then that just continued the binge, right? It's like, then I would binge and then I would go back to the yo-yoing and, or to the restrictive diet, which then would cause yo-yoing. And it was when I had my son that I could know, when I got pregnant with my son, I could no longer over exercise. But my binge eating continued. I was in a very intense job, and, my emotional relief was food. And so I would binge eat when I would get home, and I gained a lot of weight in my pregnancy. And I'd always kind of stayed under the radar with weight gain because I was such an over exerciser. But when I was pregnant, I was super sick and not able to over exercise. So I had my son. My hormones were completely amiss from having a really long, hard labor and years of yo-yo dieting and over exercising. And my milk never came in. My breast milk never came in. And here I am, a brand new mom in a body I don't recognize. I was like 90 pounds overweight, and it happened quickly. Like, in pregnancy, I gained about 60 pounds, and then I had gained kind of 30 pounds throughout the previous years. So, and then my milk never came in, and I sought so much help from doctors. They were just like, normal allopathic doctors. And I mean, one doctor straight up told me, like, you don't need testosterone, you're a woman. I had another doctor tell me, like, your prolactin is fine. And I was like, this is below what even a normal non-lactating woman's prolactin should be. And so I tried and got no support. And at that point, I just gave up. I was just like, I need to feed my child some way. So I went on now a different journey to figure out how to feed him. Meanwhile, carrying this weight, carrying all the emotional, hardships that come with not recognizing yourself. And then here my body is like failing me again by not producing milk for my son. And I just got to a really low point when my son was about 2.5 or 3 years old. I had tried again every diet under the sun in those 3 years, and just weight was stuck. And then I was depressed and needed support outside of medical doctors. And that's when I embarked on my life coach. I went and saw a life coach because I was like, something has to give. I'm like a happy, positive person, and I'm just not myself. And so I went and I sought the support of a life coach. And it was through that experience that it was just mind blowing, literally, when it was like, I have the tools within. Like everybody says, like, oh, you have to be your own hero. And, everything you have, everything you need, you already have. But it was like, nobody was giving me a framework to
How do you access that?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so then it was through life coaching that I received frameworks, and I did the work and it started working, and holy mackerel, like my life started changing. Weight that I thought would never come off started coming off. Depression lifted. That prompted me to go see a like functional medicine doctor who was like, yeah, your hormones are completely crap. And so it was just one positive thing led to another. And I just taught myself, I learned my own strength and my own courage. And once I figured out that I could heal binge eating and yo-yo dieting, and then when my brain wasn't obsessed with food and macros and exercise, how much space I had to be like really amazing human being. And and so then that started the journey of like becoming a life coach myself. And then my husband has completely changed his life, and now here we are living in Maui. He quit his corporate job, and I quit my job that I was working in, and so here we are.
Oh my gosh, there is so much there, and I love it. Thank you so much for being vulnerable and sharing that. And I love how you talk about being under the radar, because I think so many of us are. I've been honest about my emotional eating, and that in my 30s, I did a lot of damage to my body that I am now. Now it's causing, now it's really causing some issues in my mid 40s. And even though I don't overeat any longer, because I'm in my mid 40s and I've done the damage, now that's hard to reverse. Right. And so, but when I was in my 30s, I would do it in secret.
Yes.
Like I would stop by on my way to work or on my way home and have it done before I got in the house, or I'd sit in the car and finish it and then throw it in the dumpster so nobody would see. I was like stealth mode with that shit. Like, I don't know that anybody actually knew that that's what I was doing outside of like, you're a little pudgy now, or you've gained some weight. Like, I mean, obviously you can't hide that part too much, but man, I was in stealth mode all the time with my emotional eating. And I used to say that, Ben and Jerry's were the only men that had never hurt me, but that's not actually accurate. As I sit here with this extra weight still 10 years later, because now my hormones are jacked. And I have the medical proof for that when that came last year. And they were like, your DHEA sucks, your cortisol's through the roof. Like, I don't know what to tell you. You gotta lower your stress. You gotta get all this under control. And I'm like, that's amazing. That's fantastic.
Yeah. And, it's like finding, so I actually just got all my hormones rerun and had my results yesterday. And it was fascinating because, I've done so much work over the last 4 years to really get myself healthy, completely changed my diet. I don't eat flour or sugar at all anymore. I intermittent fast. I'm protein. I prioritize protein, at least 140 grams a day of really high quality protein. This is coming from a girl who used to be like vegetarian or vegan for years, thinking that would save my weight or whatever. And anyway, so I got my panels all read, and my doctor's like, oh my God, you're optimal. You're optimal. This is amazing. I've never seen like such a healthy woman. Like, this is amazing. And then she gets to my testosterone and she's like, yeah, you're right. You have 0.06 free floating testosterone in your body. Like, that's why even though every other thing is optimal, you still don't feel optimized. And so I did a post yesterday on my social media about the importance for women to find the support that we need. Like, if it's overeating, you know, your functional doctor isn't going to do that. Like, they're not going to help you with that, but that they can help you with like your hormone therapy. And, you know, hormone therapy now is, most of it's bioidentical. I would advocate for bioidentical if people are going the hormone route. But there is a lot of support now for women, but it's often not in our like traditional insurance network. And so that poses, you know, some barriers. But I will say that, you know, one of the things that I wasn't prepared for, or that I didn't really ever expect, is that how weight gain does really impact your whole life. You know, I mean, like you're saying now, it's like, it's hard. It impacts so many things. It's not just our emotional state. I mean, it is our emotional state, but it really does impact our physical state as well. And when we are able to come into like a place of self-love and compassion for where we were and what we did, and then use that as a springboard for change, that was a huge turning point for myself as well. Is that for so many years I came to weight loss with the mindset of punishment, of, you know, punishing my body, punishing, you know, my brain for what's wrong with you? Why are you broken? Nobody else has this. And then it was like, when I was able to let go of a lot of my stories and then say like, those may have happened, but that doesn't need to define me anymore, and come from a place of love, like deep, compassionate love, that's when the change really started to take place for a permanent, sustainable weight loss. And as women, we are not taught to love our physical bodies in every state. Like, we definitely, there is a look, and that person gets to love their body. Ironically, they don't either, but you know,
but they should, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right. That's the shoulds. So yeah, that was a huge turning point for myself, is like learning to lose weight from a place of self-love, not from a place of self-loathing.
And I think that's very much like the you have it all in you. Mm-hmm. You know, it sounds great and it's true. How do people access that? What's a trick or a tip, or
what is a trick?
An activity?
Yes, such a good question. So what I started with is focusing on my body as, like, literally my body as a thing that moves my soul through this life. So my body is a physical carrier of my soul. So I started journaling. People are like so sick of hearing journal, but like literally journaling brings our subconscious to the conscious, and we're able to release, and we're able to also see like what's going on in there. So it was every day I would write a love letter to myself. What is it that I love about myself today? You know, my son loves to call my arms big fat arms. That doesn't offend me anymore because he loves my arms so much. And it's because they're squishy and soft, and hold him and snuggle him. And so every single day I would choose an intentional thought that I wanted to think about my body. What do I want to think about my body? She's light, she's healthy, she's free. She's carrying my son. She's moving through her day. Whatever it is, I would choose an intentional thought, and then I would write. And when I say a love letter, I'm not saying sit down for an hour with your journal. take 5 minutes, write down 3 things you like about yourself. Oh, I like my skin today. I like my smell. I'm having a good hair day. Move on. Boom. Remember those things throughout the day. And then that was kind of how I started to learn to accept the physical. And then it was like when the emotional stuff started emerging, then it was like, okay, what's going on here? What do I want? Like, what is happening with my emotions? Let's get in touch with this, and allowing myself to feel my emotions instead of
intellectualizing them.
Yes. And that was also through meditation and journaling and being like, I feel really crappy right now, but I'm going to let myself feel this way for as long as I need to process it in order to move on. And I'm not going to numb myself. That I always wanted to buffer with food, alcohol, exercise, always. Or rationalize it away. I'm so fortunate. Why am I not feeling great? Like, oh my God, I have everything, So
people have it so much worse.
Yes. Yeah. Ugh. And so really accepting and allowing my emotions without telling myself that I shouldn't be feeling this way. And so because I shouldn't be feeling this way, I'm going to go grab the Reese's, or I'm going to go grab the peanut butter and honey, or, so that I can distract myself and buffer against this negative emotion. Like learning to just allow my negative emotions and know that it's just a vibration in the body. Like, I don't have to make it do anything. It's just there. It's not going to hurt me. It's literally a physiological response to something, a thought I've had. And now I'm going to just let it be there. And it will
and be uncomfortable in it. That's the thing. People don't want to sit in that uncomfortable. They don't want to be, it's uncomfortable to be angry. It's uncomfortable to be disappointed. Yes. It's uncomfortable to be scared. And people don't want to sit there in it. And that's why they go, oh, I got to get up. I got to go do something like, rage cleaning. That's a thing because you're trying to avoid feeling angry, right?
Absolutely. Oh my God.
Yeah,
I just coached on this. I literally just coached on this the other day. A client was like, I can't do the work. I have laundry to do. I have like kids to bathe. I have like all these things. And I was like,
I'm too busy.
Yeah. And it's like, the work will set you free. The laundry will not.
Laundry will always be there. Laundry is a forever thing unless you move to a nudist colony, and then there's still towels and sheets. So even then, there is still laundry to be had.
Yes.
And I think that, and I'm particularly in American society in particular, because we are so hustle culture, so keeping up with the Joneses still to this day. So what will the neighbors think? That we have to have everything done all the time in order to be worthy.
Yeah.
And that isn't realistic physically or energetically by any stretch of the imagination. And then we go and we beat ourselves up when we don't attain this unattainable standard. And that's very much how I grew up. And so for me, it was very much like, what will the neighbors think? And that led to a lot of guilt and shame on my part, because I wasn't, I was such a high achiever, but I couldn't do all the things. So therefore I was a failure. Just kind of crazy now that I have this knowledge and I look back at younger Stacy, and I'm like, oh my God, like, oh, poor baby.
Yeah.
How do you look back at 5-year-old you? And how do you talk to her?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think about that a lot because I'm a mom and my son is 6. And I just look at him with so much like reverence. Like, he's just so in tune with his body, and he never needs to be told when to put the fork down. Maybe to eat more vegetables, a little less ice cream,
He's
but
6.
like he's 6, but he's even really good about like when he's done with his ice cream, he's just done, even if there's ice cream in the bowl. And so when I think about myself, I look at my son and I remember I had that too. I had an external factor that disrupted my natural intuition as a child. And it's okay. Like, it's okay that happened now. And I can really say that from a place of total acceptance and forgiveness to the person or the people that inflicted this external starvation diet on me. Like, it's okay, because it really created who I am now. And I wouldn't be who I am now without the circumstances that created the little 5-year-old who had a binge eating problem. So when I think about myself personally at the 5-year-old, I honestly, I'm like, she's so damn cute. Look at how cute she is. Like, oh,
Fantastic.
you know, and I just really come from a place of love and compassion. And I've worked through the anger, and I've worked through the blame, and I really do take full personal responsibility, because even though that happened to me when I was 5, I was ultimately the person who perpetuated it, you know, until I was willing to invest in myself. That's a huge thing, is like, as women, we don't want to invest in ourselves. And it was like, when I got to kind of a rock bottom point, and I was just like, I can't keep doing this. It's time to invest in myself. That's when my life changed, is when I was willing to give a financial investment in order to receive the emotional and mental support and well-being. That's when my life changed. Is that reciprocity, right? Reciprocal cycle. Yeah. And so that was my turning point. And I look back, and I could have done that at a much younger age, but I chose not to, because I was like, I can figure this out. How can I not figure this out? Eating should be the most intuitive thing. So I had that brain loop. And so, yeah, when I look back at my little 5-year-old self, I just love her to pieces. Like, she's just,
oh my gosh,
she's just this adorable little thing. And I see myself in my son so much, right? Like, it's so healing to see him just be so authentically himself. He doesn't need any guidance around like the food thing. Like, he puts the fork down when he's done, and he eats a lot. Like, oh my God. I'm like, holy mackerel, you eat a ton, but he's like perfectly perfect.
You just wait till he's a teenager. These two, I can't even tell you about my grocery bill. Girlfriend, I have to stay employed just for the grocery bill. Yes. It's ridiculous. Oh, I need a side hustle for the grocery bill.
Yeah. It's dumb. I am actually, my husband and I are like, I don't think we're going to be like so prioritized on saving for college right now. We're going to be prioritized saving for food.
Grocery bill. I'm saying, these kids, man, woof. It is crazy. Yeah. It is crazy. Yeah. And in this economy, forget it.
Yes.
Forget it.
Yeah.
Forget it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's hilarious. Talk about that you brought up that rock bottom moment. And I think for so many of us, we actually hit rock bottom, and then we push past. And so then it actually isn't rock bottom when it should have been. And then we decide that we can take more, or we could do more, or we could figure it out, or you know what I mean? Talk about, like, what were your thoughts? What was going on? What were you telling yourself? How are you feeling? So others can recognize, oh shit, this is my rock bottom, instead of like, oh, I just suck and move past it. Because I think we do that all the time.
So it's interesting. My rock bottom was actually not connected to my highest weight. My rock bottom, like, that's when
I'm saying.
Yes, like that should have been my rock bottom of like, okay, I don't know how to fix this. Like, let's go get some help. No, I continued on the damn yo-yo diet, over restriction, over exercise. But now I'm over exercising at 200, and I think it was like 230, 240 pounds on a frame that then I was creating injury after injury after injury. Like, it was this vicious cycle. And so we had actually, it was COVID. COVID had just started. We had like sold a home in Seattle, and we're in transition. And here I am, like, was going to the YMCA. Once my son got to a certain age, I just started the over exercising again, and the super severe calorie restriction. And then COVID hit, and the gym shut down. And I was like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Like, I'm going to balloon. And what do you think happened? I gained like 25 pounds in a matter of like 6 weeks, because that was my mindset. If I don't have a gym, I can't over exercise. If I can't over exercise, I'm going to like gain all this weight. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So gained all this weight. We end up moving. It's still COVID. And I'm miserable. Like, I'm miserable. That was then my husband was like, my husband and I are high school sweethearts. We've been together since I was 14 and he was 16. So he's seen me through all of this.
Wow.
And it was actually him who said, I think it might be time to get some help. Like, you really, like, you're doing everything. Like, you're calorie restricting, you're eating super healthy, you're walking constantly. At that point, we had like built a home gym. He's like, something isn't quite right. You know, he's like, I don't know if it's hormones. I don't know if it's neurological. I don't know if it's metabolic. But he was like, I think at this point, like, it's time to figure this out and get help from an outside source. And it was when my husband said it to me, I was like, oh, I'm not crazy. I am really working really hard at this and super depressed and super frustrated and not myself because I have crazy PMS and I have like super bad body pain all the time and all these symptoms despite having what would look like a very healthy diet and a good exercise program. Although I was severely under eating and over exercising. That was actually what was going on.
Did he know that?
I don't think he knew that's what was happening, but I think it got to the point where he was like, it's kind of ridiculous that you are right around, you know, this higher weight and you are really putting in a lot of effort, you know? And so I think he was just sick. Like, I remember one time he was like, sometimes I don't even feel like I have a wife because you're so obsessed with macros and exercise. And he's like, I know that you're really trying to lose the weight, but it's not like at what cost, you know? And it was like, wow. So that was like my rock bottom. It's like when other people started to notice. Another person had said to me right around the same time, like, I don't get it. You work out so much and you eat so healthy, but like, they weren't being mean, but they're like, but you always carry kind of a lot of extra weight. And I was just like, yeah, I know. But it was my thought, you know, I was constantly buffering with food. So even though I wasn't overeating, I was bored. I'd go grab a thing of dark chocolate, you know, and then, oh, I'm a little bit hungry. So I'm going to go grab some cheese and nuts because it's healthy. My brain loves to offer that thought. It's healthy. So that was my like ability to overeat constantly, even though to the outside world, it was very healthy and it didn't look like I was overeating. I was still overeating for what I needed to do. And of course, with overexercise, that just jacks up your hunger, right? I mean, you're just starving all the time. Yeah. So it was just this vicious cycle. So I actually stopped exercising completely to lose weight.
How did that work in your exercise driven brain?
Yeah.
And I thought, yes. I had that thought when you were pregnant and you were like, I couldn't over exercise. I'm like, right. I bet you were a raging bitch. Like, yeah. No offense, but that makes sense to me,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. So what I did is I swapped out my exercise time for like light family walks. So I still got to connect with nature and my son and husband, and then meditation and journaling. So I replaced my exercise habit with other habits that were getting my brain where my brain needed to be, with thought work and the self-love and the compassion and like sorting the story of my life to like the facts and learning to rewrite a new story. So for the first year of my weight loss, I didn't exercise at all because I knew I needed to get in touch with my actual physical hunger hormones, not hormones that were constantly being dysregulated by over exercising. So I actually did really well because I was for the first time seeing the scale move in a positive direction. And for the first time, not putting in tremendous amounts of effort. Like I was just kind of eating a normal, healthy diet without buffering. So without the boredom or without the like sad eating or the, you know, celebration eating. That's a huge one. That's a huge one for me. I'm a American happy person. Culture. Yeah. And I love to celebrate, and I love to celebrate with all the yummy food, right? And all the yummy drinks. And so
Thanksgiving, come on.
Oh yeah. But that's only one day a year. So it's like, if you only do it one day a year, but when you're like birthday part, because once you're a mom too, oh my God, how many birthday parties do you have? It's like,
for sure.
There's always something to celebrate, which is amazing. And I love celebrating. But I've learned how to celebrate through connecting with humans, not through eating the cake. Like, so that is like this like incredible mind shift. But when I saw that I could lose weight without exercising, it was actually this like beautiful weight off my shoulders, because I was still supporting my mental health through meditation and through journaling and through intentional thought work. But I had so much time, and then I didn't have all this body pain. And I finally saw the scale moving because my body wasn't in this like fight or flight response, right? I was like living from my parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest, the healing, the health, the happy. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, sure. It was actually when I quit exercising, over exercising, that's when I had another huge like epiphany, like, oh my God, I don't have to exercise 4 hours a day. In fact, I'm actually doing more harm than good. So yeah, it was actually amazing to not exercise.
That just blows me away that you went from like 4 hours a day to like full stop, right?
Yeah.
Because I think that there's the programming that you've done in your brain over the years would like fight against that much of a habit change so quickly. And be like, oh, we're going to die. We're going to die now that you stop moving.
Yeah, the primal brain. So, I mean, when I say I quit exercising, I quit intentionally exercising like in the gym. I still walked. We lived on a country road. I walked still. And then we had 3 acres, and it was like manicured, like park-like. It was gorgeous. So lots of gardening and like still physical activity. And then of course, being a mom of a young child, lots of play and stuff like that. But yeah, I really did just give myself the gift of saying, I'm going to give myself a year of no intentional exercise to figure this out. And then that's actually part of my program to this still. And when I am working with women, walk, whatever you love to do. If you love to move your body in a way that like makes you feel good, by all means do that. But like fitness is not part of my coaching program at all, because it isn't always the best way to lose weight, especially in our mid 30s and beyond. As we're approaching like perimenopause, we need to be gentle.
It sucks.
Really into, but it doesn't have to, right? It doesn't have to. I think it's like really coming into that place of like self-compassion and like looking at what we need. Like we need more sleep. I sleep more now than I've ever slept before because I need it. I, also need my sunlight. That was a huge reason we left from Seattle, is like, I need sunlight, and I need it every single day. As women, we're very like, we get more sensitive as we get older. But we also have a higher life expectancy than men, because we actually, when everything is working well, we're really damn healthy. Like we're supposed to go through menopause. Like culturally, there's a reason we do this, or not culturally, biologically, there's a reason we do this. It's like, it actually helps us live longer when we are in optimal health. But our modern day culture doesn't support optimal health. It requires us to be a little bit more mindful and advocate for ourselves and invest in ourselves.
Talk about your programs. You just said invest in yourselves. Talk about what it's like to work with you. What do people, what is the experience? What can they expect to learn?
Yeah, it's a 6-month program. It's a one-on-one coaching. And it's a full transformation. I mean, I've talked about the fact that like, I take you through what I did for myself when I decided to heal this journey. And just to be clear, when I say invest in yourself, I don't mean just with like a coach, but like getting your labs done, like investing in your, food, and investing in like whatever makes you happy, like skincare, the things that make us really happy.
Self-care, self-love.
Self-care, exactly. It's like, do that, especially as we're, approaching different ages of our lives. But yeah, so my program is, like I said, it's a one-on-one coaching program. It starts with food, but then, inevitably how we do one thing is how we do everything, right? So then it's like, sometimes when we're not using food to buffer, maybe it becomes a shopping. And so then we talk, it's everything. It's really a full mental, emotional, physical well-being transformation. And it's all mindset. There's no diet, there's no counting, there's no supplements. I don't, that's, you work with a medical professional for that kind of thing. My program is all about like, who are you? Like, who are you really? And how do you release this wonderful, incredible, unique person into the world? Like if you are buffering with food, or you're buffering with alcohol, or you're buffering with overspending, you're not being your most authentic self, because you're not allowing yourself to feel everything. And then because you're not allowing yourself to feel everything, you're not allowing yourself to shine as bright as you possibly can. And so, yeah, my program is really about, Dr. Joe Dispenza talks all about like envisioning your future so that you become that person. And that's really the basis. Like we do a ton of future self work. We always rely on our future self in times of like
they know.
Uncertainty,
they absolutely know.
They always know, and they're brilliant, and they're really the most authentic version of ourselves, right? Is like, they don't have, our future selves aren't clued into the societal pressures, right? They don't have the scarcity, they don't have the fear or the judgment. They've already worked through that. So
they don't give a F at all.
No,
they don't give an F.
Not at all. Not at all. And so, yeah, my program is like, it for me is my absolute like passion project. I love it. I've developed it from scratch. I think healing our relationships with our bodies and our brains, like I love to go to the place of like, what if every woman felt as absolute, like her most authentic, free self to go do big, courageous things that are kind of scary, but she knows that's like what's best for her, self. And I think that so often we get stuck in diet culture and feeling insecure, or we spend so much time like trying to like food prep and exercise. We're not really living our lives as big and bright and beautiful as they can be. And that is right. Like, I really see it like, this is how we take down the patriarchy. It's like
I'm all for it. Let's go.
We step up into our biggest, brightest, most beautiful selves. And like, nobody can touch you.
Take it down.
And then when you show up fully and authentically in your community, like you make such a difference. Like think about when you don't get enough sleep, or you are feeling sluggish, or maybe you ate food that you're like regretting. You show up, you take those set of negative emotions on your commute. You show up in the workplace, you take it at dinner with the kids, like you're stewing over it. Imagine always getting to feel amazing, like how you show up so differently for yourself, but then your community. And so I always say like the ripple is real. We start with ourselves, but like, this is how we change the world. People want to go macro, and it's like micro, like change yourself.
Got to start here.
Mm-hmm.
Got to start here. It's amazing. I know. And I've seen this, for years now. And I look back with this lens now, and I can see it even then, that when I show up my most authentic, loud, weird, boisterous, extrovert self, it gives permission for others to show up for themselves just like that too. And in whatever way they, authentically is for them. And that is like one of my most favorite things in the world.
Yes.
Is creating that space for somebody else. And I did it even before I knew I was doing it. And now I do it intentionally. And like, that's just one of my favorite things to do. And it sounds like you hold that space for others as well. And that is just so sacred, and that's so special.
Yes.
For sure.
I love that. Like what that just like gives me goosebumps when you're like, when I live out loud, it gives permission to other people who maybe haven't started doing this work yet. It's like, oh, wow, what is she doing? Because that's cool. Like that's, it's that energy. It's that magnetic energy. It's that, transforming. We have auras, like, we have an energy field, and like, let's give our best, biggest, brightest energy to the world.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all connected anyway. So if you're in a shitty mood,
Yeah.
guess what? Your mood's affecting others, whether you intend it or not. Most of us don't walk around with a malicious nature, but when
No.
you're in a shitty mood and you hang on to it, then you are absolutely affecting others' energy, people that you don't even know, people that you
Yeah.
don't even interact with, by the way. They could be across the world and you're still affecting them because
Yeah.
it's a collective, my friends. And if you don't
Yes.
believe that, start looking into quantum physics and it will change your mind immediately.
Yes.
Immediately.
It's so true. And it's so true. And I would even like coming just back down to like, physical health. It's like the way we feed ourselves is also energy, right? It's like, the thoughts that we think while we're eating the food transforms the food and affects our digestion and the way we process it. Like, so, I mean, yeah, I am all about like quantum physics and thought work and energy. And it's amazing. And I feel so grateful to get to serve in this way because I was a public school teacher before and I'm super service oriented. And so the thought of like transitioning into like corporate or something was just, I was like, I can't do that. Like, but I'm like, I can't be a public school teacher any longer either because I was not getting my needs met. And so, I'm just so grateful to get to have stumbled across this situation where, again, my biggest pain point became my greatest passion, and I get to serve. So
that is exactly right. And that is why, I specialize in negative self-talk because I was absolutely horrific to myself for more of my life than I haven't been.
Mm-hmm.
And it destroyed me.
Mm-hmm.
It destroyed me. And so now being able to take that pain and that brokenness and heal from that and learn from that and then be able to pass it on to somebody else so they don't have to do all of the shit that I did, internally and say, hey, you can stop this at any time. You can.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of learning something different and being
Mm-hmm.
aware and being mindful and not being on autopilot, 99% of the time. My friends, if today looks like yesterday, that looks like last week at this time, that looks like last month at this time, you're on autopilot. You're not awake.
Yeah.
You're not awake. You are asleep at the wheel. And so if you want to live the next 1,000 days, just like today, okay, stay here.
Yeah.
That's fine. There is no judgment there. But if maybe you want something different, you got to do something different.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Absolutely.
And it's that radical accountability, that radical honesty, getting really fucking honest with yourself of how did I contribute to this?
Mm-hmm.
What did I take from this? What did I do in this to perpetuate? Like you said, at 5, you were given this, but at 12, you chose to continue. And, you continued for many, many years.
Until I was 35. My God. No, 37. 37.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to take accountability and responsibility. That doesn't mean beat yourself up. That's not the same thing.
That is, will you speak to that a little bit? Because I think that's so important. People think like taking radical responsibility means almost like shaming and guilting. And I would argue couldn't be further from the truth.
So that's how it shows up most of the time, right? In the shame and the guilt and God, I should do better. And tomorrow I'm going to do better. And the diet starts Monday and I'm going to sign up for the gym. And why didn't you go? And I'm a piece of shit. And like, that is not accountability.
Yeah.
That is not radical responsibility or accountability. Instead, it's questions like, what am I avoiding today? What am I choosing and why? And, maybe it's, why am I eating this extra bite of peanut butter when I know I have no hunger pains?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's really getting that honesty in there and saying something like, even if you continue to eat the peanut butter, that's okay.
Yeah.
But make the conscious choice of, I know I am not hungry. and I am going to continue to eat this spoon of peanut butter,
Yeah.
and I am going to be okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is radical accountability.
Yes.
Because you could also say, I know I'm not hungry, and I've got this spoon of peanut butter, and I wonder why I want to eat this when I know I'm not hungry.
Mm-hmm.
And then go into, I'm avoiding laundry.
Yeah.
I'm avoiding having a hard conversation with my partner. I'm
Yeah.
avoiding going to work because it doesn't fulfill me. I'm avoiding, like, whatever that is, paying
Yeah.
a bill
Yeah.
because there's little money in the account.
Yeah.
Right?
And sometimes it's as simple as like, it tastes really good and I don't want this to stop. Like
that's fair.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
like
fair.
Endings are hard. Endings of good things are hard. We don't like endings as humans, you know?
Yeah.
So
when you just make that conscious choice and say, I'm going to continue eating this because it tastes so good and I don't want it to stop. Okay.
Yeah.
There's no judgment there.
Right.
But let's just really be honest about what you are doing and why you are doing it. And when that starts and it continues, then you stop doing that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Because you're like, there's peanut butter here and I can do this tomorrow.
Yep.
And I could do 1 spoon and savor it and not have to have 3 spoons because I suck it down fast.
Yeah. Right. Right. And that's exactly the work we do. And that's, you know, it's so incredible once you start taking that radical responsibility. And I mean, like, it's awareness, right? It's becoming conscious. And like, I always talk about like 4 stages of consciousness where it's like, you're at stage 1, you're just eating the peanut butter. You're not even like aware necessarily that you're eating the peanut butter.
You're a robot.
Yeah, exactly. And then stage 2 is like, you're eating the peanut butter and then you finish it and you're like, oh, that's weird. Why did I do that? And maybe you investigate. And then 3rd stage is like midway through the peanut butter. You're like, I'm eating the peanut butter and I don't really want to be eating the peanut butter. I'm going to stop now. And then 4th stage is you catch yourself before you even eat the peanut butter. And it's like, it's not like once you're at stage 4, you're always at stage 4. We wake up as a new human every single day. And moment to moment, breath to breath, this can change. Our awareness, our sense of responsibility and accountability to self shifts, you know? And so, but that is kind of that is the awareness stage. And once you start developing awareness of your own awareness, you be the observer. That's when life really starts to change and you start to have like unexplainable, literally miracles and magic.
Oh, I love it. I'm getting so much of the, oops, hang on. I got so much goose pimples when you said that then, because being the observer blew my fucking mind when I learned this a few years ago, and it blew things open for me. Talk about that from your experience for a minute.
Yeah. So being the observer to me is like, I mean, because of what I do and my very long history with food, it always comes back to food for me. So like we've eaten dinner and I'm sitting in the chair, we're watching sunset, and I'm like, oh, you know what would make sunset so much better? A glass of wine. Okay, that's what my just primal brain says. And then it's the observer brain that goes, but why? Why would the glass of wine, like, what is it actually going to do here? You're going to not sleep well. You're going to feel like shit the next day. Like, what's going on? And it's like literally being able to recognize that we have voices in our heads. We do. We have our primal brain and then we have our observing brain. And, you know, being able to not just constantly operate from the primal brain, the compulsive, the impulsive, the negative, the survival mode, and really move into the observer where you build awareness. You start to learn how to gently and lovingly question your actions and your thoughts and your emotions. And then you start to become really aware of certain habits and patterns that you just have built over time, not because you're a bad human, but because these served you in survival mode for, you know, for whatever reason. And And then it's the observer brain that it's a muscle that you strengthen, right? You strengthen through meditation, you strengthen through podcasts and pressing pause. I always say the power of the pause. I mean, because it's like just pausing, like going to yell at a child, right? Like, oh my gosh, you've just cleaned the house and all of a sudden they just dumped out 10,000 Legos on the floor. And you're just like, what? And you want to like have a meltdown. And it's the power of the pause, and it's the observer. How do I want to respond? What's the teachable moment right now to my child versus,
Right.
the reaction. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just, and the thing is again, it comes back to like when you start changing the way I respond as opposed to reacting, it's amazing how the world starts responding to you.
Yeah,
and it's
absolutely.
all our brains. That's all it is. It's literally just harnessing the power of our brains.
That big mushy meatball, my friends, which your thoughts are not facts. Your feelings are not facts. This is all electricity hanging out in here. And it is wired to do thinking and have thoughts all the time. It doesn't mean that they're true. It doesn't mean that they're yours. But who you are really is the person watching the thoughts, not having the thoughts. Right. You're the one noticing, oh, I just thought to myself, it would be better for this sunset if I had a glass of wine. That's you. That's your soul. That's not this meatball.
Yeah.
The meatball says, oh, here's what I do every day. I'm just going to do this repetition, this habit, because it's what I learned in 0 to 7. So most of these habits, you are no more than 7 years old. Think about that. You're in your 30s now, you're in your 40s now, and you're living like a 7-year-old. Like that does not really compute. The math ain't math in there if you really think about it.
Yeah.
So you're the one that gets to decide whether these thoughts are true, are going to serve you, are need to attend to, or can you just let them go? And I think that was a huge shift for me when I learned that my true self, my soul, my connection to source is the one that notices that the thoughts are there versus I'm the one having the thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love the way you just said that. Like when, like the observer brain is like the connection to source, and really recognizing, especially when we're in a low state, emotionally and mentally, like recognizing we don't have these thoughts. Like our brain is just offering up thoughts, but
it's our mushy meatball.
Yeah. We get to choose which ones we believe. That was a huge, like, epiphany. Like I get to create my own beliefs. What? Like, oh my gosh, I don't have to believe this story anymore. Like
you don't have to believe that 7-year-old. Nope. You don't have to live as a 7-year-old.
No.
You wouldn't know this, but I lost my brother to unaliving himself because, Facebook, 7 years ago. And it kills me that he never learned that.
Yeah.
It kills me that he never learned, oh, these are just mushy meatball stuff hanging around. I don't have to believe it.
Yeah.
But he couldn't separate himself from that. And it destroyed him, literally destroyed him. And it just makes me so sad that I have this information now that I learned after his death that I can't impart on him to have him here. And so if you're struggling, just know that it's that mushy meatball, electricity and water hanging out. It's not actually your soul saying life sucks. I need to check out. That's actually not true, my friends, at all.
Yes. No, definitely not. And our primal brain's job is not to make us happy. Our primal brain is to quote unquote stay the same. Like it hates change. Any kind of change, even if it's positive change, it equates it to death. And so our primal brains, whatever loop they get stuck on, that's it. And so, and it does take doing intentional thought work. It does take doing the meditations to become the observer and the journaling and figuring all of this out in order to start deconditioning our brain to being like addicted to negative emotions. I mean, that's what it really is our brain. It's all it thinks about.
It's
It's
wired
all
to
it
that.
knows. It's
Yeah.
wired to do it. And so it's rewiring the brain to come into a state where it can operate more effortlessly in the parasympathetic nervous system, that like rest,
Exactly.
digest, healthy, healing, happy
Yeah.
mode.
You guys
So
want to
it's
be bored. You want
Yeah.
to be bored. That's that's it. You
Yeah.
want to be bored. I promise you, you want to be
Yeah.
bored. I know it's uncomfortable. I know it sucks.
Yeah.
That's what you want to do though. You want
Yeah.
to be bored.
Yeah. In
Shoot
fact,
for
there's
that.
even like studies with children, former teacher, so always looking at the brain from that point of view as well. But like the most creativity that a child will ever experience, like when they're doing like tracking of creativity in the children's brain, the most creativity always comes out of moments of boredom. So like as parents, when our children say, I'm bored, yay, good, go do something with that. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
Don't offer, don't offer what to do. Just go do something with that.
Go figure something out. Go cure cancer.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Boredom is really healthy because it makes us figure shit out that we wouldn't otherwise. And that's why it's like distractions, whether it's scrolling or chocolate or alcohol or shopping, like that's why we have them, is our brains don't want to be bored. Our primal brains don't want to be bored, but it's one of the healthiest things for our brains to do.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love that. Tarra, this has been absolutely fucking amazing. Thank you so much, my friend. Tell the peoples where to find you, how to get in touch with you, please.
Yeah. So Tarra Branham, tarrabranham.com is my website. And then I'm just Tarra Branham on Facebook and Instagram. Those are the only two places I really operate off of. I don't do TikTok or LinkedIn at this point. And so, yeah, it's pretty easy. Just my name and you'll find me. And I'm pretty responsive. I'm in Hawaii, so to most people, my time is different, but I'm still pretty responsive. I try to be anyway.
Just give her a little bit, because she's even 3 hours behind me.
Yeah.
So, and you guys know I'm in Vegas, so I'm 3 hours behind most of my friends, or 2 hours. So just give her a little minute, because she's living in paradise.
Yeah, it is pretty nice. But they call Nevada and particularly Vegas the ninth island.
The ninth island.
Yeah, there's such a large Hawaiian culture there, so it's very cool.
There is. I have some amazing Hawaiian friends that have migrated and over here and have made their home here. So much. My gosh, I would love to have you back at some point, because I think this is an amazing conversation. And thank you so much for your time, your space, your energy. I'm very honored that you were able to share this with me, share this space. And I know somebody needed it today. Somebody needed it today. And so you guys go get in contact with her. I'm sure she'll do a wonderful, lovely discovery call with no strings attached, no hard sell. It's icky for us. We don't like any of that.
No,
but if
we're here for service.
Yeah, 1000%, 1000%. So if you are struggling with your body image, if you are struggling with, some sort of weight loss, if you know that Ben and Jerry's are actually hurting you and not helping you, or if you think they're helping you, you need to actually go talk to her. My friend, thank you.
Likewise,
so
this was incredible.
An amazing.
And I really appreciate you working with my camera dying in the middle, like right before we came on. So I'm in like a grainy, fuzzy, dark space here. But thank you. You were so
we figured it out. We figured it out.
I appreciate you.
Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate your time, your effort, your energy. I hope this resonated. I hope you got some nuggets. There were so many good nuggets out of this. Remember, it only takes a few short minutes of mindfulness, of breathing, of boredom a day to actually rewire your brain. I love you, and I'll see you next time.